Lewis Hamilton came super close to winning the United States Grand Prix, but despite a botched pit stop, Verstappen still came back to claim the top spot on the podium. So now, with only 3 races left, the 7-time world champion has finally conceded that he's not going to win a race this season. In today's video, we're going to talk about Hamilton's admission and what he said to the Dutchman in the cool-down room. So keep watching. First off, Hamilton admits defeat for the season. It's been a strange season for the Silver Arrows. On one hand, they've bagged some really decent podiums, especially considering how far off the pace they've been. At the same time, that race win continues to elude them, like they're so close yet so far. Of course, this has become even more of an issue for Hamilton, who's never gone through a season in his Formula One career without winning a race. And despite dwindling hope as we come to the back end of the season, he's still got pretty close to maintaining that record. The Brit climbed into the race lead after Max Verstappen had a horrendous pit stop with a wheel gun problem, leaving him stationary for over 10 seconds. What's more, even Leclerc had overtaken the Flying Dutchman, leaving him in 3rd place as the race progressed into the final third. If there's one thing we've learned over the course of this season though, it's that Verstappen is inevitable. The 25-year-old absolutely breezed through the Ferrari and then overcame a 6-second deficit to overtake the 7-time champion as well. Admittedly, he had a faster car and better tires, but Hamilton didn't have any chance of defending against him. In fact, the 2nd place finish was so demoralizing for the 37-year-old that he just straight up admitted defeat, saying that his chances of winning a race this season have gone. And according to him, the Red Bulls have been fast all year long and they're still the fastest. So everyone needs to be realistic about their expectations. Up next, Hamilton's outlook on the final 3 races. With the insane number of bonkers Grand Prix weekends we've had this season, you'd think that it's been great for those at the back, right? Well, believe it or not, we've only had 4 race winners throughout the season, all of whom belong to the top 2 teams. And even though other outfits like Mercedes have made a bit of a comeback during the second half of the year, they're still nowhere near in terms of pace. As a matter of fact, it's a miracle that the Silver Arrows have gotten so many podiums to their name at all. Oh, and guess what? Hamilton shares that sentiment as well. Speaking to the press at the Circuit of the Americas, the 37-year-old said that it was kinda insane to start in 3rd place. On top of that, the fact that they were in a position to fight for a race win was also super impressive. But the fact remains that Red Bull has been ahead of them all weekend. Besides, no one's expecting any change in that for the next 3 races either. So unless something very drastic happens and all the frontrunners take each other out, there's no way for the Brit to actually compete with them, especially on true race pace. Now obviously that's a bit of a pessimistic view from the 7-time champion, as we've seen plenty of instances this season, like say Silverstone, where Mercedes has had the pace to take the fight to the top teams. At the same time though, they haven't shown that sort of speed in a while now. What's more, the Brit explains why he's not optimistic. For someone who's been at the top of his game for almost 15 years, it's been weird seeing Hamilton concede like this. That said, he's way too experienced to hold on to false hope, as he knows exactly how things play out in motorsport. So when asked why he was ready to take his foot off the pedal before the end of the season, he just pointed toward Verstappen's crazy pace. The 37-year-old said there was basically nothing that he could have done against the Flying Dutchman, who took the lead with 7 laps to spare. That wasn't the thing that actually killed the race though. Instead, it was the fact that he had an 11-second stop, was behind Charles Leclerc, and still bolted to the front within a few laps that made this whole fight unwinnable. And according to the 7-time world champion, the Dutchman's ability to pull a 3-second lead by the end of the race really showed the monster pace that he's got. Now of course, this has been more or less the story of the season, as Verstappen continues to dominate even when he's nowhere near the front row at the start of a race. Plus, the 25-year-old also matched Schumacher and Vettel's record of winning 13 races in a single Formula One season, which everyone expects him to break now. What's more, the energy drink outfit also claimed its first constructors title in almost a decade, completing a full clean sweep for the season. And we don't know about you, but that shows sheer dominance. Coming up, Hamilton's still looking forward to next season. Now, while we've still got 3 more races to go this season, everyone's already begun their preparations for next season. After all, both the championships are already done and dusted, and apart from a few places down the order, we're not going to see a massive shift in the drivers or constructors table. As a matter of fact, Lewis Hamilton's actually pretty optimistic about the next season, as, according to him, the Silver Arrows will be much more competitive after what's frankly been a challenging year. Capping off his interview, the 7-time world champ admitted that that they've made mistakes throughout the year. But at the same time, he thinks that these errors have been a great learning process for everyone involved, and that they're definitely building a stronger foundation for 2023. Not only that, but the Brit also said that if Mercedes can get their car on the level with the top two, we're in for a very exciting next year. Oh, and speaking of the car, it seems like the German outfit has unlocked the W13's hidden potential, as team principal Toto Wolff issued a stern warning to the rest of the grid in Austin. And according to him, the car's DNA is going to change drastically for next season, alluding to them potentially scrapping the zero-pod concept. On top of that, the Austrian also said that this season was just a blip for his team, and that the Silver Arrow's dominant era isn't over just yet. Now for cool-down room conversations in Austin. One of the most enjoyable things that we've seen this season has been the return of the cool-down room. Here, the podium finishers have a bit of a breather and talk about what went down during the race. And lucky for us, we get to witness all of it. Of course, most post-race conversations aren't super interesting, as drivers don't want to say anything controversial. Plus, a lot of them aren't talkative at all and just sit there with a towel draped over their heads. The cool-down room at the Circuit of the Americas, on the other hand, was very fascinating. With Verstappen still celebrating the race win with his team, Hamilton and Leclerc were the first two drivers to make their way into the room. And without skipping a beat, the 37-year-old started discussing the race with the Monegasque. In a pretty defeated voice, he referred to the reigning champ and said that it's so hard to stay ahead of him, which was met with a simple nod from Leclerc. The Ferrari driver then asked the Brit whether he was struggling with the front or the rear of the car, and Hamilton just said rear. Here's the funny part though. The 25-year-old went on to ask what happened to his teammate Carlos Sainz, who'd spun out during turn 1 after colliding with Russell. So the Brit sheepishly said, George took him out. Yeah, we know, awkward. Finally, Hamilton confronts Verstappen in cool-down room. Thankfully, the awkward moment of silence between Leclerc and Hamilton didn't last for very long, as Max Verstappen finally made his way into the cool-down room shortly after. But surprisingly, he was hounded by the 7-time champion as soon as he entered, who was in utter disbelief at the Dutchman's pace. In fact, he exclaimed and said, "You came from so far back." The 37-year-old then admitted that his team can't compete with Red Bull on the straight. Interestingly enough, Max had nothing to say back to him. Leclerc, on the other hand, tried to lighten up the mood a little by complaining about turn 11. Now, even though it may appear awkward, it's still great to see these rivals converse with each other like that, especially after everything that's gone down over the past couple of years. Besides, as things stand, it really looks like they're going to continue to have wheel-to-wheel fights for many more years to come. So let's just hope that Hamilton can get a better car under his feet for next season. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Mercedes will make a comeback in 2023? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.